Hi, my name is Dan and I'd like to welcome you to the Markerboard People Introductory Staff Development DVD. Our goal is to give you an overview of the Wonderboard student response systems and to show you some basic techniques to help you make the most of these tools in your classroom. We'll also address many of the most popular questions and concerns we've received from educators and schools over the years. For over 30 years, the Markerboard People have been the #1 source for quality student dry erase boards. We've done that by listening to our customers and by giving them superior quality dry erase boards printed with great usable designs. And the board is coated with our superior, high-quality, non-porous, earth-friendly dry erase surface. It provides great erasability day after day, year after year. We offer this high-quality surface on both sides of the board, so you can get your favorite design on one side of the board, and when you flip it over, you have a blank dry erase board on the back. This is one of the top teacher requests over the years, and it makes a great dry erase board even better.
Hi, I'm Hal, and I'm the founder and president of the Markerboard People. And I'd like to start by asking you a question. Do you know what makes a dry erase board a dry erase board? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. A dry erase surface is simply a solid, smooth, non-porous surface, usually white in color. When we exhibit at these national educational conventions like National Science Teachers, National Math, International Reading, and ASCD, we consistently get asked the same questions. One question goes something like this. Hi, we got some student dry erase boards. It was from another company, and they're all stained and ghosted. Is there anything we can do? We tried cleaning them, but they still look bad, and they're not very old either. We never used to have this problem before. What's going on? Well, back 15 years ago, all the educational catalogs only sold real dry erase boards. You could find different sizes and different prices, but regardless of the catalog, they were all non-porous dry erase boards. They were all goof-proof. Unfortunately, that's all changed now. Today, about 9 out of 10 educational catalogs and online vendors are selling pretend dry erase boards. That's right, pretend dry erase boards. Defective product. Over 91% of them are selling you low-quality, semi-porous boards. They used to sell the real deal, but good luck today. Many whiteboards and so-called write-and-white boards are little more than a coating of white enamel paint on a board. You see vinyl, sheet protectors, and really anything flexible, they're all semi-porous surfaces. No wonder markers can soak in and stain them. Some of these dealers may tell you when you come to them with a problem, oh, you should have erased your board right away. Or, oh, you used the wrong dry erase marker. What? The wrong dry erase marker? Get real. They should not be charging schools real money for pretend dry erase boards. That's my opinion. You have my word. Our dry erase boards will still never permanently stain, even if written on with the wrong item. We can tell you how to clean it off. All educational dealers used to sell you real dry erase boards, but we still do.
One of the great ways of communicating science that I've found is using these boards, and I've taken a few to Bangladesh, to Sripur village, where the science facilitator uses them to help explain everyday science happenings all around them, and they absolutely love it. So I really, really recommend these.
And I know students love it, teachers love it, and it's great. It's also easy for teachers to then have students hold up the whiteboard and see what's going on, and you have this really fluid sense of learning.
I'm a 27-year teacher, chemistry teacher, biology teacher. Every year I've used these periodic tables. They're great, and it's a product that I think is necessary in every classroom.
The beauty of it is they can do whatever they need to do. They can hold it up. I can assess it quickly. So if you don't have them, get them. You'll be as happy as I am.
And you can tell that the quality is really good in these marker boards, so we're excited to have them in our classrooms. It's the best thing. Kids love them. I love them. They stand behind their product. Great product. You really want it in your classroom.
They're very durable, and our department loves them.
And there's no punitiveness, and it's a really good formative assessment tool for me. So I love using them, and I recommend them highly.
And it's just a real fun tool. Kids love them.
Kids love them. They get excited about using them, and they just get more excited about doing their science on a board than on a piece of paper.
As we talk to teachers, we're often asked about how to use student dry erase boards in the classroom. And while there are many ways that they can be used, we want to make sure that you understand the basics. Today I'm going to lay out a few simple techniques that will help you get the most out of your student dry erase boards. Using them correctly will raise student participation and engagement levels, give you instant feedback, and ultimately it will impact your students' retention levels and raise their test scores. The first thing to understand is that the Markerboard people actually offer a student response system. Some teachers use student dry erase boards to occupy and engage students. Other teachers have their students use the board simply as an alternative to paper. You'll find they're most valuable, though, when you use them as a feedback and assessment tool in the classroom. Formative assessment has been a real focus for educators for the past several years. The goal is to build feedback into our everyday teaching so that teachers can adapt to meet their students' needs each day, not have to wait for a quiz or homework to find out if they understand. With student dry erase boards, when a teacher asks a question, every student writes their answer down on their board. At the teacher's direction, they hold them up and show their answers all at the same time. At a glance, the teacher knows if the class got it or if they didn't. This allows you to know immediately if the lesson for that day is hitting home or if you need to tweak something so that they understand the material a little better. It gives you an immediate and accurate assessment, a picture into what's going on in your classroom that day. Now let's walk through this just a little bit. I want you to think of your classroom setting and how interactions with your students normally work. Think of the types of questions you ask and the responses or lack of responses you normally get. Traditionally, a teacher would ask a question, a student raises their hand and answers it. Then they ask another question and another student would answer. They then call on a third student who gets their chance to respond, and so on and so forth. Now what can happen over time is that a few highly engaged and motivated students are participating, and many, if not most, of the others can be left behind. Our student response boards actually add the multiplier effect to your classroom. You still ask your questions, but the student boards multiply the responses by a factor of 20 to 30 times. Instead of one question, one response, you ask one question and the entire class responds. Now, we all have a slightly different style and a different set of communication tools we normally use. But each of us need to be seeking feedback throughout our teaching lessons. Don't go for more than a few minutes without asking a question that requires your students to use their response boards to answer. This approach actually allows us to tailor our lessons on the fly to help with any comprehension gaps. Sometimes it means we can move faster through a section our students are finding easy. Then we can spend more time on the next section if it proves to be more difficult. We spend our time where it's really needed instead of wasting it. No more assuming it's okay to move on, only to find out after the test the students didn't really understand the material. Likewise, if your class is struggling with something, you can address it immediately. Much better to have your students learn it right the first time. This eliminates the possibility of incorrect concepts sinking in. They get it right, and they get it right from the beginning. Now, the longer you work with our student response system in your everyday classroom routine, the more benefits you'll find. You'll stop wasting time and paper on quizzes that have to be corrected and returned. Do your daily evaluation with the response boards and save the paper for the actual test. You'll also discover that it's no longer just the motivated students participating. The reluctant ones are involved as well. Students of all levels love our boards. It gets every one of them physically and mentally engaged in the learning process. Our student response system will get 100% of the class responding 100% of the time, all in a non-threatening atmosphere. This works no matter what type of presentation technique you happen to use. If you use an overhead, a traditional whiteboard, if you use a PowerPoint program or a smartboard, or if you just ask your questions verbally. You already have techniques to communicate to your students. Give them the tool to communicate back to you. Student response boards give your students their voice back in the classroom. Over 30 years ago, the marker board people started introducing student dry erase boards to teachers at educational conventions in booths much like this. In the early years, they came in one style, plain blank. And that is still what many people think of when they're looking for an everyday, general purpose, all-around student response board. We came to realize fairly early that there were some things that blank boards just weren't very good at. So we started printing designs on our boards. Over the years, we've developed some very basic but powerful designs for teachers in every grade level and subject area. We call them the Wonderboards. They take the best of blank boards and boards with lines on them and combine them into one. For math and science classes, our most popular Wonderboard systems are our graphing boards. Our #1 selling board overall is the basic graph board, especially for junior high and high school math classes. It has a 20 by 20 graph with generous workspace on the side so teachers can see the students' work and the graph all on one surface. And it's friendly for both right and left-handed students. We've highlighted every fifth line, so it's easy for students to count by fives to get to where they need to go. When using it as an XY axis graph, the students can easily locate the X and Y axes right down the center of the graph. But we haven't locked you into only using it as a 4-quadrant graph. You can easily use it as a single quadrant graph as well, or even for 4 mini graphs. For pre-algebra, geometry, and Algebra 1, our graph board can't be beat. For science classes in Algebra 2, the most popular Wonderboard system is the Base 10 grid. The basic format is very similar to the graph board, but instead of 20 by 20, it gives you a 40 by 40 graph, highlighting every 10th line. For language arts and foreign language classes, as well as most classes that aren't math or science, the most popular option is the simple lined board. With blank boards, students tend to write either so small that you can't see what they wrote, or they write so large they can only fit about 3 words on the board. The simple structure on these boards enables students to write large enough for the teacher to see without having to move around the room, and still gives the students plenty of space for writing. At the elementary level, we combine several things into one design. For kindergarten through second grade, the most popular Wonderboard system is the storyboard. It gives students 3 sets of handwriting guidelines with a dotted half line and generous blank space up at the top. At the bottom of the board is a ruler in inches. This is great for measurement, but you can also use it as a simple number line for number sense work. This board also has a twist to it. When students hold it vertically, the handwriting lines turn into columns for place value. We've labeled it ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands for basic addition and subtraction. The storyboard is great for basic draw and write activities, letter formation, and spelling tests. Math and science too, all combined into one basic tool. For 3rd through 8th grade, the ruler board is awesome. When held horizontally, it has simple handwriting guidelines. These are just the right size, so when students write on them, teachers can actually read what's there. On the long edges are rulers in both centimeters and in inches. And when flipped on its end, you have an advanced place value chart. It's labeled down to thousands and up to 100 millions, complete with decimal point and commas. The columns help students keep their numbers lined up. Use them for pre-writing, bar graphing, and any other quick response activity. It's a great, well-rounded design that gives you a little bit of everything in one board. One of the things frequently overlooked when schools are looking to purchase new student dry erase boards is the board size. Over the years, we've seen companies continually reduce the size of the boards they offer. Now, the largest student dry erase board that many companies and online vendors offer is about the size of a sheet of notebook paper. Actually, about the size of this textbook in reality. This size might work to replace sheets of scrap paper, but it's woefully undersized when used as a student response tool. Think about it. When we ask students to complete a worksheet, do we have them hold the finished worksheet up so their teacher can see it? No. The sheet of paper is just simply too small. The teacher can't see the responses from the students in the front of the classroom, let alone the student sitting in the back row. Now remember, we want teachers to be able to ask a question once and instantly read every student's response by glancing around the classroom. With our Wonderboard student response system, you can. Our Wonderboards are not the size of a textbook's cover, but the size of an open textbook. Now students can respond instantly with answers the teacher can actually read. Districts and schools using our boards know that you can get so much more accomplished when you use full-size student response boards versus the undersized options that most companies are offering.
So now we come to how much does it really cost? How much do you think it would cost to outfit every regular classroom with its own Wonderboard student response system throughout your entire school district? Believe it or not, the cost would average out to just 2 cents per student per school day. And that 2 cents takes care of everything you or your district is likely to need, including a lifetime supply of our student dry erase markers. Your district would probably only need about 3 of our student dry erase markers per student per school year in daily class use. You see, one of our markers has the writing power of 2 of the standard size teacher markers. That is because our markers are power packed and they have a fine tip instead of the big fat tip that you find on the teacher's markers. Now, our dry erase boards are designed to last for years in daily classroom use, not months. Just use common sense and keep them away from things like steak knives, hacksaws, and most importantly, the abrasive cleaners like old-fashioned Comet Cleanser. If we were to average the cost out over 4 years, it would cost your school district only 1 penny per school day per student for the class combo packs, and an additional 1 penny per school day to keep all of the students outfitted with our student dry erase markers. With our training DVD, your whole staff can know how to implement our student response system in a way that is easy, fun, and effective. Now remember, the combined cost for the student dry erase response boards, the markers, and the erasers averages out to only 2 cents per student per school day. If your schools can reduce their paper use by just 1 reproduced, photocopied, or printed sheet of paper per student per day, you will already have more than enough money to purchase our response system. After all, the average cost to print out in-class worksheets is more than 2 cents per page. So stop spending time and money copying in-class handouts and wasting paper, toner, and ink. Your school district can already save more than enough money to be able to outfit and maintain our Wonderboard student response system. But what do you think? Can our Wonderboards reduce your school's paper use by just 1 printed sheet of paper per student per day? If you agree with us that it will, then your school district can implement and maintain our Wonderboard 2.0 student response system district-wide without wrecking the budget. As we close things out, we wanted to go over some of the more common questions and issues that can crop up.
Every so often, we get a teacher who only uses their boards once in a while because they're afraid if they use them too often, they won't be special anymore. We've never talked to a teacher who said they thought they used their boards too much. In the thousands of interactions we have with teachers every year, it's just the opposite. The classes that are most excited about using their boards are the ones that use them regularly. Don't be afraid to use our student response system every day.
And here's a general tip about dry erase markers. For best results, let the writing dry before erasing. Dry erase markers are designed to stick to the board when wet. Once the writing is dried, though, it becomes a curious little powder that you can erase right off with little effort. So, for best results, wait 10 to 15 seconds and then have your students erase.
A tip for your students while they're erasing is tell them to erase in a circle. It actually erases better than if you erase in a straight line.
Most of you know our boards are goof-proof, but you may still wonder what is the best item to clean them with. Well, you can use any non-abrasive cleaner, but for heavy-duty cleaning, my personal favorite is non-acetone fingernail polish remover. It may sound weird, but it works, and it only costs around $1 a bottle. Just use a soft paper towel or cloth and wipe the boards clean. If needed, use another sheet and wipe it off, especially if you're doing all of the boards at one time. And as a bonus, non-acetone fingernail polish remover will even clean off permanent marker and Sharpies without hurting our surface.
Another tip, erase the boards completely when you're done for the day. The longer markers stay on the boards, the harder it sometimes can be to erase. You may notice this especially on your large board at the front of the classroom. Overnight, humidity in the air can interact with the writing on the surface of the boards. Then instead of cleaning easily, the writing behaves like a wet erase marker was used, even though you actually used a dry erase marker.
And sometimes we're asked if you can use other markers on our boards, but why would you want to? Other markers can end up costing a ton of money, and the smell can be really annoying. Our markers are ultra-low odor and non-toxic, and you'll find that our markers cost less than a penny per student.
These markers are like destroy proof, so it's like pretty amazing that they continue to write and the kids can't destroy the markers and they continue to work, so that's pretty amazing. And erasing is super easy. It doesn't really leave any bleeding, so I suggest these.
I really like that the students can just go to town on these markers and not have them collapse into the marker.
Even though my expos have died during the year, I have not had to replace a single of the purple marker board markers in the whole year.
It's pretty awesome. I'm crushing it pretty hard and nothing's happening. This is going to be very durable. It's going to be awesome.
So I highly recommend these. I think they're awesome.
And these are so much better than running to Walmart and grabbing a whole bunch. And plus, they're inexpensive, they write very good, they're simple, they don't stink, and your kids, they're nice and neat with a thin pen, get a lot of work done. This is what you need in your classroom.
And as far as ordering goes, we'll gladly accept school and district POs by mail, fax, email, or online at dryerase.com. You can also use Visa or MasterCard. We included a basic order form inside of the DVD case, or you can download an order form from our website. We are your sole source provider, so remember, you can only get the Markerboard People products if you order direct from the Markerboard People. Our student response system is only available factory direct from us.
Keep us in mind when looking for larger dry erase boards too. We have them in many sizes and styles, including portable boards for small group use.
Now feel free to share this DVD with any teachers and administrators you work with, as well as your school and district personnel. If you would like additional copies of the DVD, let us know. If there are any questions we haven't answered or anything we can do for you, please feel free to give us a call at 1-800-DRY-ERASE. Or, as always, swing by dryerase.com 24 hours a day. Thanks for watching.